Hey guys, welcome back to Deeper Than Most. I'm your host, Sav.
And I'm your host, DJ.
And today we are back with episode 51.
Not to be confused with Area 51.
Right, exactly. So today we are going to be discussing a true crime case. We are bringing the FNC series back in full effect. I think it's been like 5 episodes since we've done an FNC.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute. So this is FNC part 20. This is the murder of Carolyn Wasilewski. This happened in 1954 in Maryland. We're in Maryland today.
Okay, all right.
Yes. We hope you guys have been having a good week. And we hope that you're, just taking it day by day. That's all we can do.
Yeah, exactly. That's all we can do, so.
But just like High School Musical and nostalgia, which is something that we love, we're all in this together.
I was not expecting this, but hey, we're all in this together.
We are. We do have our first dose of the most of 2022 that we're bringing to you guys today.
Oh, wow.
So that'll be fun. But before we get into it, I want to discuss something that I saw. I saw a headline and read a little bit of an article discussing the topic of the 6th mass extinction. And I mean, we've kind of been like living through it and seeing it like with all these numerous and different types of animal species that are just going extinct. They're dying.
Like a third of our animal population is
wiped out, clean, gone, cut off. But with this, scientists have revealed that they've noticed that this mass extinction is going by at a quicker rate than all the other ones have. Because we're now seeing the effects of this extinction happen in lifetimes, like in a singular lifetime. So that means we might be next on the chopping block. I don't know. Who knows? Oof. So how do you feel about that?
I mean,
because that's scary.
That's scary.
There's so many threats to humanity right now.
Right. Global warming is a real thing, though. Like
global warming, schmovid.
There's so much going on.
All types of shit. And speaking of schmovid, that is what this first dose of the most is kind of surrounding.
So schmovid is back in the streets or sea this past week. Passengers on a Norwegian cruise have been stuck at sea after the cruise line decided to cancel said cruise mid-voyage.
That's crazy. How do you cancel a cruise mid-voyage?
Yeah, like you guys halfway, so
like you already at sea.
Exactly.
Where are you supposed to go? You can't just like hop out. I don't know. That's weird.
Why? Due to schmovid concerns.
Of course. I mean, what else would it be?
It's
just it's the reality right now. So, I mean, it's not too surprising, honestly.
Nah. But like mid-voyage though? Damn.
Yeah, that's a little weird and
we
sus.
At the point to where like, do I get my refund or?
Right. But you're still at sea. But it gets deeper.
The cruise was initially set for 10 days on the Norwegian Gem from New York.
Yes. I don't know necessarily where it was scheduled. Or not scheduled. Where the ending destination was supposed to be.
Last Thursday, passengers were notified of the cancellation but weren't provided with an early return date. Okay, so...
Right, it's canceled, but y'all still going back at the same time, so it's not really canceled.
Right.
And one woman, she expressed how she felt about the situation because she was on the cruise, or is on the cruise. And she says that it kind of sucks to be, like, stuck at sea on a boat with nothing to do.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily, like, it's not a cruise if they cancel everything on it.
Right. So essentially you just on a boat.
You just sitting there for, like, you're stuck.
Right.
At sea, pretty much.
This includes the cancellation of the scheduled stops along the voyage.
Yeah, so basically they wouldn't be able to, like, stop and get off and, like, tour an area.
Right.
They wouldn't be able to do anything. And they probably wouldn't even be making stops.
Right.
Unless it's for, like, fuel. Yeah, that was our first dose of the most. And pretty crazy stuff. That would suck. Like, let us know how you would feel about being stuck at sea.
Yeah, I know
on
I
a
wouldn't be a fan of that.
Yeah, that would suck.
Like, everything canceled, so you can't do nothing. You just
At all.
on the boat.
Yeah. I'd get bored real quick. So, now we're going to transition into this case. Just fair warning, this one is a very sensitive case. Just in particular, we like to highlight the fact, like, when we're covering a minor or a young child, we just like to highlight the fact that that's what we're going to be talking about. Just because I feel like it is more sensitive in a sense. Children are so innocent and they don't deserve anything. Nobody deserves the trauma and the hurt and things that happen to them. So let's jump into the background information. So Carolyn was born June 12th, 1940, and was the eldest of 7 kids, and that's a lot of siblings.
That's a lot of fucking kids.
It is. I bet it was fun, though. Like, you got built-in friends for life.
I mean, yeah. And
so I suppose. I don't know.
If y'all get along.
Yeah, I grew up an only child, so I don't really have that experience. I don't really know what it's like.
Fair enough.
To have a sibling bond, but I heard it's fun, so. Carolyn Wasilewski was 14 and from Baltimore. She was a freshman at Southern High, and according to various sources, Carolyn certainly seemed much older for her age, quote unquote. That's what people would say, and honestly, I hate when media sources or, I don't know, just not even witnesses, but just community comments and the things that people say is just crazy, especially about a victim.
Exactly, and then
where they can't even defend themselves.
Right, it kind of defines that person.
Yeah, like the disrespect. I don't know. I just don't like it.
Yeah, it's not cool.
We've read about that in a lot of cases that we've done, where and it's always young girls where they try to like re-victimize the victim already. It's crazy.
It's crazy as fuck.
So Carolyn was known to run with a crowd in Baltimore that wasn't very liked by locals. She was referred to by those who knew her as Peaches. And that's a cute little nickname. Peaches. I like that. So Carolyn enjoyed doing the dragnet, which is a type of jitterbug dance. Do you know what the jitterbug is?
I know what the jitterbug is, yeah.
So the dragnet is like an offshoot. The dragnet is like an offshoot to the jitterbug. Carolyn also liked dating drapes, and drapes during the 50s in Baltimore was a term for greasers.
Oh, wow.
So think about during this time, it was really like the true 50s, kind of like how it's portrayed in media or movies and TV. You know, when you think of like Grease, for example. You've seen Grease, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know how it's like the typical greaser look? That's literally what they were, and it's kind of cool because it was real.
Exactly, yeah.
It wasn't just a movie or a TV show.
While with friends and other youth around the city, cars were stolen and organized illegal hot rod races would go down. Like, that's really a 50s movie.
Like, as a kid, you know, in the 50s, that's just what they did for fun, I guess, or to be bad.
Right.
You know, quote unquote. I don't know. I just hate how the media just talks about, like, kids in general.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
It is weird.
Combining her lifestyle and age, Carolyn's parents worried for her safety and eventually sent her to the House of the Good Shepherd.
Yes. The House of the Good Shepherd is... Remember how I told you about Daniel Bergoli? And how she went to that, like, teen conversion camp? Yeah. It's something like that. It's to turn, like, bad kids into...
good youth.
Yeah, pretty much.
While at this facility, Carolyn had been beaten by a boy there. And this event took place November 1st, 1954.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And November 1st is really a key point in the timeline. Because her death occurred literally a week later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Also, throughout her stay at the facility, she testified in a rape case against a local mechanic, Ralph Garrett, who was 45 years old, in support of one of her friends.
And this is also a very pivotal point in the timeline because Ralph Garrett comes up later.
Oh, wow. Okay. Her mother believed that C never told anyone about her involvement in either of these situations out of fear of being a snitch or a squealer.
Yeah, they used to call it a squealer.
Huh.
What's crazy is her testifying and her getting beaten by this random boy at the facility all happened around the same time. A week prior to her death.
Interesting.
So right then and there, and the crowd that she hung out with, people suspect that right then and there there's 3 different possibilities of who could have did this to her. Getting into the details, November 8th, which is about a week later, Carolyn told her family she was going out with a friend for the night. This friend was Peggy Lamand, and she was 16. So she was a couple years older than Carolyn. But I feel like when you're in high school, you're all in high school, so different classes.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Mingle and hang out with each other.
Hang out with sophomores.
Yeah. And honestly, with their age difference, Peggy was probably a sophomore and Carolyn was a freshman. So the girls would be headed to Morrill Park Elementary, where they planned to register for a new dance program. Why was it at an elementary school if they're in high school? I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I thought that detail was really weird. Carolyn left home at 6:15 p.m. She was dressed in a black jacket, pink sweater, and a pink and black skirt, which, when I envision that, completely takes me back to just typical 50s. So interesting how accurate media can be if it's done correctly.
Exactly.
Carolyn never would make it to her meetup with Peggy. As time continued to pass throughout the night, Carolyn never returned home either, growing more afraid of where she could be and if she was safe. That same night, Carolyn's parents frantically searched throughout the whole night for her, and sadly, they didn't find anything. Just came up empty-handed.
Oh, wow.
That's sad. It is. Thinking, putting myself in their shoes, if I were to be a parent, I just couldn't even fathom being in that type of situation. The panic and the fear and the shock. And
because you just don't know. The unknown is
Yeah, that's crazy. What eats away the most.
Yeah.
Not knowing. It's like being caught between a rock and a hard place. Because, we have no leads, nothing to go off of. And, I don't know, you feel helpless. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
It's really sad, and I feel for them. I feel for all victims as well as those related to the victims, because they're victims as well.
Exactly.
They're still dealing with the trauma and the post effects of whatever crime has occurred. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the detail that's really sticking out right now is the fact that the dance class was held at an elementary school.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know why. I've never heard of that. I feel like it would be at the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the high school doesn't have a
a plate, a gym or something.
Area.
I'm sure they do. Yeah, that's odd to me too.
But with that being said, we are going to take some time to thank our sponsors.
And we'll see you soon. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's free and it's easy to use.
There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast straight from your phone or computer, making it the best user experience around.
Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more, making it so you don't have to upload to each individual platform.
And the best thing about it, you can make money straight from your podcast with no minimum listenership.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
So please, download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. And that's anchor.fm, spelled ANCHOR.FM.
So what are you doing? Download the free Anchor app now.
Welcome back, guys. So around 7 a.m. the following day, a railway engineer from a train headed toward Baltimore noticed something on the tracks underneath the Belvedere Avenue Bridge.
I love that name, Belvedere.
Mm-hmm. That is a nice name.
Yeah, 7 a.m., that's early.
Super early. When he reported the mysterious object below, he had no thoughts of it being a person. More specifically, 14-year-old Carolyn Wasilewski.
That's terrifying.
That's super scary.
It is. So early in the morning.
Yeah, you're doing your job. And then
Yeah. And the fact that he was paying attention, like,
right.
on the job,
Exactly.
really just makes a huge difference in how the rest of this day played out.
Mm-hmm.
Because had he not just went with his gut,
It could have been really
spoke
bad.
up, yeah, like, you know, all types of stuff. Things just wouldn't have played out the same way that they did.
Upon arriving to the scene, police were able to determine that she was likely placed there to ensure a train ran over her body to destroy any evidence or trace of the crime.
That's intense.
That's super crazy. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's crazy as hell. The fact that somebody even thought of that, like she was placed there.
Like, strategically.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
If the engineer would not have reported what he saw on the tracks that day, she would have been hit by a train. Like I was saying, the choice that he made to, like, speak up and say something really made a difference. It really made a fucking difference. And that's why we've said it before. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, if something's off, just say something. Just tell somebody.
It don't matter if it's like
It's
the
better to be
thing.
it's better to be wrong and it be nothing than
Right.
for it to be something and it's not reported.
Right.
That's how I feel about it. So timing was of the essence in this discovery. At 7:17 a.m., the Parkton local was scheduled to pass through. 17-minute window.
Damn.
He saw it at 7 a.m.
Right.
That's crazy. And that means the police got there speedy quick.
Yeah.
17 minutes is not a long time.
At all.
So at the scene, investigators found that Carolyn was covered in scratches and bruises. Her skirt was missing as well as her shoes, which is very interesting.
Her stuff is just missing and then...
Right. Yeah, and it wasn't anywhere scattered near the scene or anything like that. Which I would think would lead authorities to believe that the crime happened somewhere else.
Yeah, definitely. Because, like, what do you go off of from that, you know?
Yeah. So she also had a broken finger, which suggests self-defense. And after collecting evidence from the scene and from Carolyn, police concluded that there was no evidence of violent sexual attack. So, but it's just so weird how her skirt was missing.
Right.
And her shoes. Both of them.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
It is. It's weird. It's just weird.
Just
odd details.
Super. And to continue on, strangely enough, written in lipstick on her right thigh was the name Paul.
Even more weird.
Her cause of death was determined to be from a fractured skull. Damn. So it was... Wow.
Probably like maybe blunt force trauma. That's what I think of when I think fractured skull.
Yeah, I think you're right. Her time of death was approximately 11 p.m. the night prior to her being discovered.
And just thinking about that time difference, that's like 9 hours. That's a couple hours.
That's 9 hours max.
Yeah, that's literally a couple hours before this engineer saw anything. It's just so crazy how time works.
Yeah. She also had a broken jaw and ribs. Damn. This is pretty fucking intense.
It is.
During the investigation, police made note of blood found on the railing of the bridge, which, along with her injuries, suggests she may have been thrown over. Oh, God.
That's terrifying.
Right. Authorities did expand their search for the killer or killers and were able to find bloodstains and some of Carolyn's possessions in a vacant lot near her home.
Yeah, and that vacant lot seems to be the likely place of where the crime actually occurred. Because why else would her belongings be there? And it was near her home.
Right.
But that also suggests that whoever did this probably knew where she lived.
Exactly. And
Or,
was watching.
yeah, or if this was a crime of opportunity, she just was around and they saw her, you know? Because we don't really know what happened.
At all. That's crazy. This led them to believe that the lot is where the crime actually occurred. Her shoes were found in this location, but her skirt was never recovered.
Right.
Just like you just said. More than 300 people were brought in for questioning, including Garrett, the same man she testified against in court just a week earlier.
Yep. Told you he would pop up again.
Hmm.
But for a good reason. Because, I mean, yeah, you're testifying against somebody for a pretty serious crime. And, I mean, yeah, if he was upset, it's not too far-fetched to think that he would
not at all.
go after
He
her.
would definitely be having a target on it, especially, you know.
Yeah. These are the ending details. Because that's pretty much it on the case itself. But there are some things in the aftermath that kind of tie up a couple of loose ends, but not really.
Okay.
It's an incomplete story. All of these unsolved cases are incomplete. I don't know, I just wish there was a way we could just solve every crime.
Yeah. I wish it was that easy, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's tough for, like, all the families to, like, just not know.
It is. I couldn't imagine. I've never dealt with that.
Right.
And I wouldn't wish it upon anybody either.
At all.
So Garrett was quickly ruled out once the focus was off of him. Police spent their time searching for answers amongst the drapes. 13 youths were questioned as a result of this, including a 22-year-old member of the crowd known as Rocky.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you know, they had like street names or nicknames or whatever.
Kind of like West Side Story type shit.
Rocky was rumored to have been on a date with Carolyn the night she was killed. But the fact that there's this 22-year-old dude just hanging around these
14-year-old.
They weren't dating. He went on one date. They were on a date.
Okay.
Maybe. Allegedly.
Okay.
I don't know. The fact that there's a 22-year-old man hanging around kids is weird. It's just weird. I don't know any other way to say it or put it.
There ain't one.
But that also doesn't mean that he did this.
Right.
You know, there's no evidence of that. Her friends would bring up his name constantly in their interviews, but police had difficulty tracking him down. He was never
disappeared.
AWOL.
What the fuck?
They couldn't find him.
Okay.
But I wonder if it's because it was like an alias name.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure it's hard to find somebody through an alias.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because, like, alias names, there's multiples. Like, there could be multiple.
Yeah, you can
I
have
don't
like
know.
6 of them.
I'm trying to think of an alias name. Alias names like Bam Bam or something like that. It's hard to find the source because there could be multiple Bam Bams.
Yeah.
He was never officially named a suspect in this case, which is interesting because it seemed like they were really focused on this dude for a while. But they never saw him as a suspect.
Right. That's weird.
But they also never found him, so yeah. How could you really rule that out? You can't even determine if he's a suspect or not. Because you haven't spoken to him. There were more interviews conducted with older members of the friend group, but police had no real evidence to tie any of them to the case. It was widely believed that they were looking into the drapes to please the rest of the community because, you know, the old heads and just the adults and the working class of the community, everybody was like, whoa. Everybody was concerned, yeah, definitely, and freaking out. So, of course, when the community is crying out to law enforcement, law enforcement needs to
get on it and
step up. Yeah, exactly. And so, I guess that's what they were attempting to do, but also, like, why are you wasting resources just to please the community? When, like, if you know this is a dead end, then why explore?
Or, that too. Don't entertain it.
Yeah, because that's not necessarily helping the case, it's hurting it.
Not at all, yeah.
After the tragedy, Carolyn's father was quoted in the Baltimore Sun saying, "She just wouldn't listen. She brought it on herself." He insisted to the press that Carolyn had been asking for it.
Oh.
That's harsh. That's harsh as hell. And I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that.
That's fucking sick, dude.
That's just fucked up to say. Yeah. And it's your daughter. It's your kid.
Exactly.
I don't think I would have it in me to talk down like, not even just my deceased child, but to talk down on my child in general.
Right.
Nah. I don't vibe with that.
Oh, that shit ain't cool.
Man. At all. Now, whether she was bad or not, all kids are bad.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter.
It's part of life.
Yeah.
Can't really.
Would you say the same thing if she was grown?
Exactly. Like, you can't really control that.
At all. I just don't agree.
Nah. And now we're going to get into the wind down. We have 4 questions this time. Let's see. The first one is, what measures would you have taken if Carolyn was your daughter hanging with questionable crowds?
Ooh, so for me, I don't know, it's hard. Back in the 50s, kids didn't have phones. Right. So I can't say, oh, I'd make sure she has her phone on and it's charged. And like, I can't say anything like that. So right. Honestly, if I were Carolyn's mother during that time, the most that I feel like I could do is just educate her on safety.
Yeah, that's a very big thing. I would say education on safety is a major part.
Yeah. But I mean, whether she's hanging out with this group or not, right. I mean, safety, it can still apply anywhere.
Make sure you, like, set the boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. Setting boundaries for herself. Just things like that. That's not necessarily trying to scold her and tell her, like, oh, you can't run with these people, you can't hang out with these kids, because she's going to do it anyway. So I think I would just, educate her.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that's
and express my concern.
That's all you really can do, because either way, if you go on either extreme, you're going to force them to do what they want to do anyway. Yeah. Honestly, like I said, I would definitely try and set some boundaries, because all you can really do is educate on safety. There's no way around it. Right. And I mean, who's to say, like, her mother probably did educate her on safety. We don't know. Right. So we can't say that she didn't. Maybe she did. And sometimes, I mean, even if you're educated, like, situations just happen. Yeah. And you're never prepared for them. You're never ready for them. And this was definitely one of those situations. Mm-hmm. Question number 2 is, do you think the Drapes were involved or Garrett, or was it a random attacker? I think it was probably a random attacker or maybe Garrett. Only because a random attacker, it's always a possibility. But with Garrett in particular, I just feel like he had more motive than her friend group. Right. Yeah, they were probably considered bad kids to the community, but she was with that crowd. Like, those were her people. So, I don't know. Maybe they were, but it just doesn't seem as likely. And if anybody from the Drapes were involved, I would say Rocky. Just because he's an older dude, and also he was allegedly on a date with her the night she passed away, which obviously would raise so many questions. Yeah, because what the fuck were y'all doing? Like you said, Rocky's definitely a questionable person, so I would look into him more, even though they couldn't find him. Yeah, that's true. He was evading the police. Right. Definitely the Drapes. Because of Rocky, the fact that he's associated. Right. Question number 3. Do you think this could have been avoided? It's hard to say. I don't know. I feel like I don't have enough information to even say. Or to have an opinion. I feel that. I can say the same. Because in one hand, you could say, yeah, it could be avoided if she stopped hanging out with these people or learned something from from the Good Shepherd facility, or, you know, maybe she didn't go out that night, or whatever the case may be. Yeah, you could say that all on one hand, but the other hand, would it matter is the real question. Right. Would it have mattered if she stayed home that night as opposed to going out? Right. Or would it have mattered? She would have done it a different night. Right. Or would it have mattered if she wouldn't have went to the facility? So, I don't know. I think it's hard to
pinpoint where it all went wrong.
It's very hard to determine because, like, how can you really say what's wrong and, like, what's right, you know?
Yeah. Question number 4 is, what is one thing that stuck out to you in this case? Definitely dance auditions at the elementary school. I've never heard of that.
Right.
That's weird. Maybe it was different back then, though.
Yeah, maybe it was different.
The fact that her skirt was off and her shoes were off, but there was no sign of a sexual assault.
Right.
That's weird. Because why was it off?
Right. That's the biggest detail for me. That whole dance classes thing and then, like, how she was found is super tricky.
Yeah, the trauma to her body is just a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a lot. And it's really sad and just disheartening to think that people are really out here doing this type of stuff in the world.
Pretty sick people in the world.
It's really frustrating. Yeah.
Pretty sick people out there.
And it's not getting any better, honestly.
So, guys, with that being said, I bring you episode 51, which means you have 50 other episodes to check out. Make sure you tell your friends, your family, your family's dog, whoever.
Yeah, spread the word on this case. It's still open and active. Do your research. Maybe you know somebody or have heard something that seems to correlate with this. So this was FNC part 20. We were in Maryland, and this was the case of Carolyn Wasilewski. I love that last name. That's so cool.
Make sure you like, make sure you leave some comments, and make sure you, if you're watching this, make sure you subscribe. We want to hear from you. So let us know your thoughts on the case. Let us know how you feel about it. If you have any information, feel free.
And it's a safe space, so you can always express your opinions, concerns, or anything of that matter. And you can also address us. We would love some constructive criticism on the show.
Definitely,
And we would love to hear from you guys and know exactly what you want to see more of from us. What you want to hear us talk about. Anything that sounds... Or anything that's
interesting to you.
Yeah, or anything that's of importance to you, or just something you want to hear us speak about, or our opinions on. Let us know. If I sound like super nasally, it's because my allergies. I don't know what is going on right now.
Yeah, no clue.
It's crazy. But with all that being said, do you have any kind words?
Stay alert. Stay alert in mind, stay alert in body, and stay alert in spirit. You know?
Yes, I agree. When things don't go right, don't be so hard on yourself. Because things go wrong all the time. Exactly. And that's just how life is. That's just how it works. Yeah, so just take the punches and roll with it. It's a basic quote, but honestly, it's valuable. Yeah, don't beat yourself up about everything. Exactly. It's okay to feel.
You got this. I promise you. You'll get there.
It's okay to feel. It's okay to fail.
Feel and fail.
Yes.
And I've been your host, DJ.
And I've been your host, Sam.
Catch us next week on
Deeper Than Most.